Welcome to this year's Unity Conference. On behalf of the Lumbee Tribe of North Carolina, we're honored to be here with you today, and our panel discussion is going to be about how to cope with mental health during this pandemic crisis. I have with us here today Miss Celeste Hunt and Miss Erica Locklear. Miss Celeste Hunt is the manager for the vocational rehab program for the Lumbee Tribe. Miss Erica Locklear is the MAT, Medicated Assisted Treatment Manager for the Lumbee Tribe. And today, they are going to share with you how to cope, how to preserve your well-being, and how to be the very best you can under the circumstances that we have been in for the past year. Miss Erica, can you share with us some of the problems or the concerns that you've seen from our tribal members over the past year in dealing with the pandemic?
Currently with our pandemic, we've noticed a lot of changes with our tribal members. Some of those changes are positive, some's negative. We all have coping mechanisms that helps us deal with life in general, but I don't think anybody was prepared for this. Over the last several months, we've noticed a lot of changes. Starting with our younger generation, they've been took out of school. Last year, seniors weren't allowed to have prom and graduate. That's a drastic change when these are things you look for all your life. They have a lot of ways that they're coping with it, but some still struggle. We've had a lot that's hit cases of depression, their anxiety's peaked up, and others go on with daily life. We've noticed a lot that were at one point all too self or coming out of their shell. So some positive change has come about with this pandemic, but all's not been positive. We have elders that have called and they have no one, no family to visit because they're scared of being sick. They're having to look at family through windows or talk to them through doors. Holidays have not been the same, and that's not normal for our people. With our worst cases, we have some, like I said before, it's all about coping mechanisms and how you learn to address that situation. We've had some that turn to worse things, such as substance abuse. That's their way to cope with their stressors, whether it's financial, whether it's the loss of a loved one, whatever they're going through, that's what they know to turn to and deal with at that moment. It's not by no means what they intended for their life to be like, but that's all they knew how to address it. There's a lot of ways that you can cope with the pandemic, and that's what we're going to address today. One of those ways is to stay positive. I know it's hard at this time to stay positive, but we got to find the best in everything, because I don't think it's going to change tomorrow. So let's make the best of what we have. If you see that there's something in your life that's just bringing you down, it's one of your worst stressors, try to alleviate that problem. Try to alleviate that situation. Avoid being in it. Whether it's friends, you may need to distance yourself. If it's all negativity, avoid it. Try and stay positive. Surfing the internet, looking at websites that's creating chaos. We're all looking and wondering what's going to happen next and trying to address that situation. We can't do that. Let's focus on the here and now. We got to focus on what's going on at this moment and what we can handle at this moment. If it's happening tomorrow or next week, we can't focus on that. That's too much. So let's focus on the here and now. If we can't handle it at this very moment, it's not important. It's not important to tomorrow or next week when that situation comes up. In our community, we have a lot of positive role models. And this is especially for our younger generation, teens, small children. They're going through a lot. And as adults, oftentimes we tend to overlook them and just assume they're going to roll with the punches. They're not. They need somebody to vent to and somebody to talk to about how they feel about the situation as well. So it's not just us adults that's dealing with this. The children are going through a lot. Sit down with that child, talk to them, let them know, because it's new to them too. Let them know what they can expect from you, not from the situation. That you're going to be there. You're going to be that positive role model. Regardless of what's going on, you're handling the situation. You're the adult in the situation. Like I said before, live in the present. Don't focus on what you can't handle. Don't make promises to a child that are not able to be kept. Don't plan trips and things that's going to be a letdown for them. If traveling restrictions would stop again, don't plan things that can't be done. I've noticed a lot of families are getting closer because you're in that home together. You got to learn to do things that won't cause you stress, because if you're in a house with nothing but teens, it can be stressful. Find things that they can do or you can do as a family, whether it's in the home or just riding, that is productive for them, keeps them out of trouble, keeps them focused, and don't give them idle time. Board games, family nights, movie nights, whatever you can think of that might be beneficial for that individual, focus on that. See what they like to do. With my family, we go hunting, we go fishing, whether it's riding the four-wheelers, whatever, just to keep them occupied. Now's not the time to let teens, children, and even adults have idle time that they're running and can be easily influenced. Try to keep them motivated and push them. Along with that, let's add on other loved ones. Don't leave them out. With your elders, even if it is the door visit or the window visit, make phone calls, whatever. Make them know they're still important, that you're thinking of them, they're loved, they're cared for. Make sure they have what they need if you have to drop it off at the door. But keep in contact with those individuals so they know they're still thought of. In closing, I want everyone to keep in mind that a lot of people do suffer from mental health issues, not just because of the pandemic, but on a daily basis. So take the time to check on individuals. Make yourself aware of warning signs for mental health. Whether their sleep patterns change, they distance themselves, they're less talkative. And everybody assumes that those warning signs are always downers. It's not. If they get super hyper, super active, and they're in a manic mode, be aware of that as well. Know what to look for with those warning signs. This is a time that everybody's struggling. There's stress, and what we've noticed with some of ours, a consequence of that stress is negative reactions, which can result in suicide, harmful, hurting others or hurting themselves, or even just doing things out of character to result that they would end up in jail. Just check on those individuals. Even individuals that you wouldn't assume had issues with mental health. Check on them. Let them know they're important. See if there's anything they need. But make yourself aware of the mental health awareness signs that are out there. Ladies, we're all in this together. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Miss Tammy?
Thank you, Miss Erica Locklear, for explaining to us how to identify those stressors, how to help people with coping, for us to be able to be a light and to help in our community when we see people who may be impacted by COVID or maybe dealing with these kinds of stress, and now we know how to identify those things. So thank you very much for such a good explanation. We now have with us today Miss Celeste Hunt. She is the manager for the vocational rehab program for the Lumbee Tribal of North Carolina. Miss Celeste, can you share with us the things you are seeing as the vocational rehab manager with the clients that are coming into your office and how they are dealing with COVID-19 and the pandemic over the past year.
At this time, many of the consumers are having financial stress. When we discuss the issues that are arising, we talk about acknowledging your feelings and don't keep them inside. I ask the consumers to talk to people you trust in reference to the issues of financial stress. We talk about reducing unnecessary spending at this time. We talk about exploring available opportunities for assistance. What is out there for our consumers to receive in reference to dealing with this pandemic? We talk about reassuring your children. Remember that this is temporary and we will be moving forward. In reference to social functioning, we discuss job loss. We discuss disruption of the child's normal life. We discuss panic buying and stockpiling. We discuss infodemic, which is panic and fear through the social media. We discuss social distancing and self-isolation. Last but not least, we discuss travel restrictions. I talked with a consumer several months ago, and I remember explaining to this consumer how my mother explained it to me in reference to this pandemic. How can we move forward? What do we do? How can we keep our minds occupied? How can we be successful? Asking my mother that question, she looked at me and she stated, as a young woman getting ready to graduate from high school, I remember getting off the bus before my senior year. I got off the bus, I walked down that long dirt road. I got to my home and I knew I would be here for the next 4 months. I would be working in the garden, I'd be taking care of my siblings, I would be working with my mom and dad in reference to harvesting the tobacco and other crops in the field. We would do things from sunup to sundown. That was 4 months of family time, immediate family time. We sat on the porch in the evenings, we laughed and we cried. At this time, we can go back to those days that my mother was talking about. We can walk outside, we can sit on the front porch, we can relax in the afternoons, we can talk about stories of the old days. This is temporary and we will move forward. Right, Miss Erica?
Yes, ma'am, with the Lord's help and one day at a time.
Ladies, thank you so very much for the work you've done in preparing for this session. On behalf of the Lumbee Tribe, we thank you for participating in our session and listening and hopefully taking away ideas that you can use in your communities, in your tribal communities with your tribal members. Again, thank you, and we look forward to a time when we can be together once again.